All right.
All right.
So tonight I am joined by one Mr. Frankie B. Washington and Mr.
Hey.
Matthew Blair. They're
Hello.
writers and co-creators of Kaijus and Cowboys, which I've kind of been watching for a bit here since we kind
Oh.
of jumped into this comic thing. It's
Bombarding
great.
the internet with Kaijus and Cowboys.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yep.
you guys have just done some really cool things, and
Nice.
it's kind of a unique concept. So, for those who might be watching who aren't familiar with it, do you want to give them the elevator pitch, as it were?
All right. There you go, Matt.
All right. So, uh, hey, pitch on demand. So basically, what we're doing here, Kaijus and Cowboys, it's a 12-issue comic book series. It's basically a robot cowboy who we've titled the Bot with No Name in homage to everyone's favorite Clint Eastwood character.
Yep.
And his whole thing is that he wanders an alien planet fighting giant kaiju monsters, and he's doing this because there are other robots on the planet's surface who are trying to make the planet safe and habitable for humans who are living in a ship that's orbiting the planet. Unfortunately, the planet's surface is overrun with giant kaiju monsters.
Yep.
And there's a reason for it, which we're not going to get into because that would be very spoilery. But it's robot cowboys versus giant kaiju monsters, and it's a showdown for the ages, battle to the death. Who gets to survive? Who gets to win? Read and find more. And
Well,
also,
yep.
fantastic art by Frankie Washington and
Well,
lettering by Mike Stock. So it's a great story and some absolutely amazing artwork for you.
and I would just want to add on that because for the kaiju enthusiasts out there, this world is filled with kaiju and daikaijus. Now, kaijus can come in various sizes,
Yes.
and then daikaijus are like the Godzilla size. So, just in case, so we have big and small as well.
Nice, very
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
cool.
So there you go.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the die variety, although
Yep.
as kind of a label nowadays, we kind of just assume, almost to some extent that when someone says kaiju, they mean Godzilla size. But you're right that literally translated, it's
Yeah.
just
It's a
mysterious
broad
beast.
term. It
Yeah,
really
it
is a
is a
broad
broad
term.
term.
It's just like well, you go cryptid, so it's kind of like what is a cryptid, and
Right.
then so it's like the cryptid is almost the American version of like, in my thoughts, like kaiju is like a strange beast.
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
isn't that
no,
what a cryptid is?
yeah, it
The
kind of
Loch Ness
has that
monster is a cryptid, right?
same connotation, right?
Yeah, I
For
mean
sure.
isn't a Loch Ness monster a cryptid?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
And that's a
So,
supposed giant serpentine creature that's in Loch Ness.
sure.
And as well as other. But then you got Bigfoot or Sasquatch, or
Right.
the hairy
Yeti
man, or
or
the stink monkey.
Chupacabra. The
Well,
list
there's actually, I mean, if you want to go back even further, there's dragons. I
The
think one of the
dragons, yeah.
more popular stories, I mean, there's St. George and the Dragon, but there's
Hmm.
also, I don't remember what the town's name is. I think it's the Worm of Lewin or something like that.
Oh yeah, yep. I think I
But
know what
yeah,
you're talking
it's
about.
this old
Yeah,
story I remember reading.
yeah,
A knight has to fight a dragon that can't be killed by a
yep,
sword. So what he does is
yep,
he puts spikes on his armor, and
yep.
as the
I remember that
worm
one.
tries to strangle him, it impales itself on the
I totally
spikes.
know that story too. I know.
I
I can't
Yeah,
think of the
remember that
name either,
story.
but I remember the story, and I was like, "Oh my god, it was so violent."
Yeah,
Because yeah, you had to wrap around them and stuff. Yeah.
it's amazing the stuff we used to read, like
Yep.
especially as children, like
Oh.
like I know we're getting kind of off the beaten path here, but some
Yep.
of those like grim fairy tales were like really dark.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible what used to be told to children and what
oh, they
they were
used to be
like.
even darker too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. It's crazy. So
Yeah.
no, very cool. One, I love the concept.
Yep.
It's unique. It's not something that I've really seen done. It kind of um, gives me some kind of retro vibes. I really like that kind of like vintage Western meets, 70s.
All on
Uh,
purpose. All on
right.
purpose.
It,
Yep.
it's a beautiful mixture and it just works so well together.
Yep.
So one, I'm gonna pick on myself because
Okay.
you guys know that me in my infinite wisdom and just being kind of scatterbrained, I forgot to fill out the backer survey on Kickstarter. So I reached out. I was like, hey, do you guys happen
Yeah.
to send this out? And you pointed me in the right direction. And of course I went and filled out the form. So
Yep.
unfortunately, I haven't gotten to actually read them yet, but I'm super excited to. Like
So
this
remember that.
project is on the
Remember
bone.
remember that our writers for this campaign
Yes.
right here. Once it's over, once we made that goal and passed it, hopefully, fingers crossed we surpass it, then you got to fill out those forms. Once Matt sends it out to you, definitely
Yep.
fill them. Check your emails and stuff like that because that is very important.
And that's
Absolutely.
riders, RIDERs. Just in
Yes,
just
writers. Yes.
yeah, it's what
Yeah.
we're calling our backers.
Yep.
I love that. I
Which
love
fits it.
that.
Which fits it because we're all on this journey. That's the whole point. Like we're looking for people to ride along with us on this journey because we're learning stuff. I mean, I can look at the artwork from the zero issue, and it's so different. Like for issue 6, it's like issue
Sure.
6, like the stuff. Oh man, it's like I think I can't say too much, but it's just like I can see the difference in the artwork, and that's what I think we both wanted. The whole point of the old school comic books, like the stuff like the Shogun Warriors and stuff, it was about a journey. Like this
Right.
series ended at issue 20, and
Right.
it was like a progression, like a whole big story and stuff. And it's like, can we do that? And Matt was like, yeah, we
Absolutely.
can do it. We can do it in 12 issues.
You guys, one, I love the passion that you guys have for this
Yes.
genre because it's what I'm passionate about. I know you, Frankie. You talked with my partner in crime, Ron, earlier this
Yes.
week.
Oh
I
man,
want
he
to
pulled out some
apologize.
deep stuff, man. Oh man,
Oh
it
yeah,
was wonderful. It was
yeah, he's a
wonderful,
good
but
guy.
boy, we got deep. I mean, we clearly talked about Kaijus and Cowboys, but also it just the sense of how how communication is so important, and
Yeah,
how like why I enjoy talking to different people, because I feel like I can get nuggets. I always say like I'm a gold miner, and I'm always
sure.
digging, and then there's a lot of dirt that comes out, but you always can find a great nugget and stuff, and I think that's how that I'm able to. It's like therapy for me because I've gone through therapy. People look at me and they go, "Oh, you just this guy, he's happy." Yeah, but I've been putting work and I'm still working on myself.
Right.
I had to deal with a lot of anger. There's a lot of things from my own growing up as a child, bad things, and so the thing is that for years it's like I struggled with that, but through therapy and the fact of just learning how to use those tools of therapy and communication and stuff like that, I'm able to learn, but I'm still constantly trying to learn. And we got deep about that kind of stuff. He explained the same thing, how he went through stuff similar, and I said, wow, small world.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, I apologize. I did have kind of an emergency that night. I was supposed to be
Yeah.
there with you guys, but so thank you for being gracious
Oh,
about
no
all that.
worries.
But
No
it was one of
worries.
those things where it couldn't be helped. But I'm glad that you guys got to connect. Ron and I mean, we're two peas in a pod. Like
Yep.
we just absolutely clicked together, and it's one of those things that really worked. But to your point about being happy and things like that, it just
Hmm.
kind of it resonated with me a little bit because I'm an educator. I work with young people, and I absolutely love what I do.
Yep.
100%. I am. Um,
Well,
but
me
I had to
too.
work along. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, well, I
awesome.
mean, I
Yeah.
used to do a lot of childcare, but I mean, I
Ah.
don't do a whole lot of it now. But it is really rewarding and really fulfilling.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. It's one of the my favorite things about my life now is getting to have an impact on young people, and but it's funny because it took a long time to get here, and I had to learn a
Yep.
lot of things, sometimes the hard way.
Yep.
In fact, usually the hard way,
Yep.
and then of course trying to make this dream come true. We've made our fair share of mistakes, and we're learning things about the business we had no idea six
Yeah.
months ago,
Yeah.
and here we are now, a little older, a little wiser,
Yep.
and we're still moving forward. And I think that's the interesting part is what separates successful people from
Yep.
those who never reached their goals is
Yeah.
the successful people just didn't give up. Like
Yeah.
our campaign hasn't worked out so far, but Sector Seven's not going anywhere. We
Good.
believe
Good.
in the story. We
Good.
believe in the art. Ron's amazing at his artwork. I love the monsters. I really
Yeah.
in our mind, you guys have like the cowboy that really the bot with no
Mm-hmm.
name that really seems to sell your covers and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, and that's the connection for us. We wanted to create this kind of like star. Oh, we lost Matt.
Oh
We'll
no.
wait for him to hop back. But we really wanted people to connect with the cast of monsters and the cast of characters, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are probably the same way. Do you have a human element to it, or
None. The human we that was one of the things we talked about. We wanted to eliminate the humans as because one of the tropes that's always kind of trolled me a lot now recently is that I feel like the humans are being pushed way ahead of the whole thing dealing with Kaijus sometimes. I don't know if you watched the recent Gamera animated show.
I'm waiting? I don't have Netflix anymore,
Oh, okay.
so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
waiting to find a
Well, all right.
solution
I
to
won't
that.
ruin it for you or anything,
That's
but
okay.
I feel that again, it's one of the things we sat back and we just said we thought it would be really interesting to just let the story be about the robots and then the Kaijus and stuff. Just let it because actually the truth is that we actually if we looked at Kaijus and Cowboys, we compared it and it dawned on me just recently that it's similar to Star Wars. Where you see how the first Star Wars movie started, and then you had Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and then Return of the Jedi, right? So
Right.
you had those three segments. Then that's Kaijus and Cowboys. But we do have a prequel story, which is called Team KS1. And Team KS1 actually, we premiered the first story, one of the stories I believe appeared, it came out on a Wednesday on Alterna Comics and stuff. So we do have a pre-story that is like dealing with Earth, where we dealt with the humans. We dealt with humans who had special sort of armored suits that they battled against Kaijus. And so,
Nice.
and what we did was like when we had the April campaign, this was the comic that we were offering when we reached a certain reward tier. That's this comic right here that tells the story of Team KS1.
Nice. That's
That was
very cool.
that was only available for that April campaign.
Oh
but
man.
but but we do plan on doing some stuff with them. So right now what you're seeing right now with Kaijus and Cowboys, that's like our Star Wars, like Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
Gotcha.
So we
Gotcha.
we have that's our big chunk right there, and then we have the prequel, and so depending on how it's received by people and whatever, then we can start talking about the future stories.
Absolutely. Now, is the April campaign, is that was that issue 1 or issue 2?
That was the issue one. We brought issue
Okay.
one into it, but then also issue two. Now it's funny because what happened was we decided back in 2022 we decided to do issue one, but we did it on a different platform, which was Zoop. We did it as an experiment. We wanted to see what was going to happen. Now, mind you, we did very well when we did our issue zero back in 2021, and that was on Kickstarter. We had 157, I believe, backers, and we were close to $4,000. We made almost close to $4,000.
Nice.
157 backers. Now, here's the difference. When we went to Zoop in 2022, we barely got over the line. We barely succeeded over that. We did succeed, but I think we only had 70 backers, and we just barely made like 2,000, like almost close to 3,000,
Sure.
and we struggled with that. And that was a learning lesson to us. That's a huge learning because one of the things about it is, this is business. First, you got to understand this is just sheer business. And one of the things I learned is that I never forget when I went to a casino and I was on the machines and stuff, and I was doing very well. And I remember a woman whispered in my ear. She said, stick with this machine because this machine is giving out. You don't leave it. But like an idiot, I decided to leave the machine, and I went on and I went off. Like I was winning good, and then I decided to leave it. And I went to another machine, and guess what happened? I lost
Someone
money.
else. Oh man.
And I remember my wife was with me, and it was just like she was like, "Why don't you stay with that machine? That lady told you to stay with it." And I said, because I thought I would just try a different machine." Well, you learn that if you stuck with that machine, you probably would have kept your winnings keep going and going and going until eventually it would be like, enough. This is it. This is the
Sure.
end. And so that's what happened. Like we started off with Kickstarter, we went with Zoop, and then now we're back at Kickstarter. Now we're technically
Nice.
building ourselves back. Kickstarter is a great platform for us because we feel that we can reach an audience that's going to be in into what we're doing.
Right.
Because the reality is that how many people are into giant kaiju's? How many
Right.
people are into robots? I mean, that's one of the things about it, and that we found that Kickstarter, it has that kind of ability to reach those kind of people because
Right.
Legendary's been on there. They've put their Godzilla and stuff on there to great success.
Right.
There's been some King Kong stuff I've seen on there, and then other kaiju stuff is done very well on there. So why would we
Absolutely.
leave that? Why would we exit that? So that's a
That's an
lesson
amazing
learned.
point. One, I want to welcome Matt back.
Hey, Matt.
Glad you were able to reconnect. Um, but to your point, we actually started off. We were talking about what to go with first,
Hmm.
and Ron and I, again, we literally started this like 6 months ago. It
Sure.
was very quick. I shouldn't say we started it. We've been talking about this idea for 10 years, if
Sure.
not more.
Yeah,
Like,
sorry about that. This
Um,
happens.
Yeah.
no problem. No problem. We actually, I first came up. I've got stuff as old as 2001
Wow.
with my main kaiju Nagara.
Okay.
So I've had this idea a long time, and then I
Oh,
met
yeah.
Ron sometimes around
Sure.
2011 or so,
Hmm.
and we started on Indiegogo, and
Yep.
I think I was really naive, right? Because I'm like, the kaiju community is huge, it's loyal,
Mm.
like I'm like, people are gonna, just be really excited. And a couple of things didn't occur to me. One, we're not in the drought of kaiju content anymore.
Yeah.
Like, people have options now,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
10 years ago that was not the case. Like,
And here,
prior.
and here's another hardcore reality about the kaiju community. What I'm learning, as somebody who, again, like my background is, I worked as a commercial illustrator and I worked in film production as well as animation, but a big chunk of that was advertising. So a lot of the stuff that my mind is thinking the analytical side of like promotion, marketing, all those nuances about it. One of the things that I've been seeing is that with the kaiju community, that yeah, they're into comics, but I'm finding that they're really excited about the legacy stuff.
Yeah.
And which is hard for us guys who we have an infant IP and meeting these people. So if you look at a lot of my when I'm marketing it and stuff like that, I'm literally I'm challenging, I'm making these little subtle challenges to the base to be like, hey, yes, we love the legacy stuff like Godzilla, and
Sure.
King Kong and that stuff. But then guess what? Cloverfield was an original character.
Right.
The Host was another great movie. Was again an original concept,
Pacific Rim.
and then Pacific Rim, of course. So that was an original concept. So the thing is that we literally are out there trying to put our spotlight out to fandom that in most cases, are looking when they look at stuff, they're looking at IDW, not ID, no, not IDW, the other guy. It's not IDW. No, sorry, it is IDW's
Yeah,
Godzilla and stuff like that. They're looking at the Morphin Rangers,
right.
that kind of stuff, and that's what
Boom.
they're seeing.
Yeah,
Boom
yeah,
Studios.
yeah. IDW's been doing the Godzilla stuff.
And so
Yeah,
the thing,
IDW's been doing Godzilla, and Power Rangers is, I
Exactly.
think, both them and Boom Studios, if I
exactly,
remember right.
and then you see a few outliers who are kind of doing stuff, but really their eyes are focused. So now it's like I'm finding that you have to try to do this sales pitch. They'd be like, boom, guess what? There's some stuff in the indie market for the checkout alternatives.
Right.
Now it is a tough battle. It is a tough battle, but it's not impossible. Because I feel like nothing's truly impossible. It's like you just got to work at it a little bit more harder. Hey,
Jacob
what's going on,
says,
Jacob?
yeah,
What's going
"Hey,
on?
Beth, you
Again,
are so rad."
Hello.
Kaiju, what is it? Kaiju United. Isn't that Kaiju
That's
United?
right.
There you
We,
go.
we
Yeah.
love them guys over there. They're
They're the same thing. They're fighting that same battle too, as coming out and trying to talk about a lot of these indie projects and things like that. But again, Godzilla, Gamera. What's great about the whole thing with Gamera is that again, Gamera hasn't been seen for a long time. So this is pretty huge to see that Gamera is coming up and kind of getting its way inside there. So again, this is probably a great time for us, individuals that are creating indie content that's kaiju related.
It
Absolutely. I think you're right. Yeah, Matt, go
it's
ahead.
it's not that you're absolutely right in that the kaiju community is large and it's loyal, but I think the to put it a little more succinctly, they're loyal to Toho and they're loyal
Yeah.
to
Yep. Exactly.
Saban Films, and they're loyal to all the people they grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And I would I agree with everything. Like I mean, like that's part of the reason we created this whole book. Is what Frankie was talking about. But I'd also add that it's not only a good time for new kaiju stuff; it's a
Mm-hmm.
necessary time as well.
Yes. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
because
Yes.
yes, Godzilla is great. Godzilla's been around for
Almost
what,
70
50,
years.
70 years.
yeah, 70 years about, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
Next
great
year.
and all. But like there's more to kaiju than Godzilla. That like
Yeah.
Agree.
it's not just the monsters; it's the idea behind the monsters. It's
Yeah.
the themes and what we're talking about, and it's like all that all the subtext of what the kaiju genre is. And like times change, people change, tastes change, readers change, and if the kaiju genre is to survive and thrive into the next
Yep.
50 years, it's got to change as well. And
I mean,
we're
We need some new ideas.
how many how many
yeah,
how many how many young folks are talking about Buck Rogers? Are talking about
Not
Lone
many.
Ranger.
they should.
Like I
Buck
I, I
Rogers would
remember.
be-
I know, but see, I remember that. But then again, I think that's one of the things. I just turned 53, and so we're up against the clock. There's a clock that's ticking. That's a
Right.
hardcore reality. I know I'm not trying to be morbid or anything, but there's a clock ticking. So
No,
for me,
you're
it's
right.
legacy. I'm thinking legacy. Like I'm like, well, when am I going to leave this world? What are
Sure.
people going to remember me by and stuff? And the thing about it is, many of us still remember. Like I remember the Green Hornet. I don't see a lot of young folks talking about Green Hornet. I think Green
No.
Hornet's amazing. I think Lone Ranger's amazing. I think, in it, the Shadow, amazing. But then
Sure.
you got a generation that probably is like, it's just some guy with a trench coat on, with his face
Right.
wrapped up. Why should I care? He's not throwing planets around. He's not doing special moves and stuff like that. So it's important for us who still remember that to just be able to show them that option that they do exist, and we have to make them cool. It's weird, but we literally have to do this pitch job where we got to be like, well, these characters are cool. This way of stuff like that, characters who don't go off and maybe they have to use their wit. Maybe they have to use their skill and stuff like that instead of like shooting massive beams that can blow planets apart. That kind of thing. So
Right. Right. No, I love
yeah,
all that, and you're right. We have to kind of move the genre forward,
yes,
and I think some properties have done that in the past 10, 15 years, which was unfortunately, I think they made a misstep with Cloverfield. I think what they started was really great,
yeah.
and then they tried to do the anthology
Well,
thing,
they're
and
planning on doing a sequel. I
that's
think
what I've heard.
yeah, they're trying to redirect, and now they're trying to be like, okay, we're gonna do something more closer to what we did before. But
Right.
I totally agree with you. Like it went off the board. Like it was like, okay,
Yeah.
we did this, and then they did these weird sequels and stuff, and it was like, oh, okay, all right,
Right, and I had no interest in them because, like,
yeah,
I wanted more of the kaiju because
sure,
that's my big passion in life. I mean, I've got some others, but that's why I'm doing this. Is I
sure,
love comic books. I always have,
hmm,
but I don't know if I would definitely have pursued writing one if it weren't for my desire to break into kaiju related content.
yeah,
Like I had
nice,
always kind
nice,
of thought about it as some sort of book. In fact, it was originally envisioned as more of a novel,
all right.
but I think it's such a cool visual genre
Are you
that
gonna are you
you
gonna
know,
try to challenge Jeremy Robinson with
yeah,
Nemesis?
I don't know, his stuff's really cool.
Yeah, Jeremy's really
But
good, man, and
yeah.
supposedly he's got that Nemesis TV show or something. You heard about that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard rumblings, but
yeah,
yeah, that's really interesting and really kind of cool that people are able to come out of this and kind of are are growing, and
yeah.
I
I
hope
wish him
that for
luck
you
with it.
guys.
Yeah, I wish him a lot of luck. I mean, again, I think this is a great time for us to just get stuff out there. And then Matt, while you were gone, I explained how like Team KS1, because Matt had
Oh
asked
yeah, yeah.
about humans, and I said, well, technically, when I was talking to someone, and it dawned on me that Kaijus and Cowboys is almost like Star Wars. It's like Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. That segment, and then Team KS1 is sort of like our prequels. Like we got these prequel stories and stuff like that. And then who knows what the future is? So
And
Oh yeah, I
it's
mean
funny.
that's like that's how stories grow. Like
yeah,
it's like you start off with your thing, and then like you say like oh, this is the world we live in, but you leave it vague, and
hmm
then like
sure,
that leaves you with plenty of opportunities for other cool stuff and other cool ideas.
exactly.
So yeah,
No,
there's a whole
totally
universe out
agree.
there. Just anyway.
No, it's really interesting, and what you're saying about Star Wars also resonates because I think of Star Wars a lot when I think of the characters I was trying to write.
hmm
I wanted characters that were compelling to read
Sure.
because a lot of the time we get into the human story, but the humans are really boring. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, and that's my problem more
yeah,
than anything is how do you make the humans compelling
yeah.
and tell a story that's really interesting?
hmm
So that was some things I set out to do from the get go is to make the human portions as interesting, if not, I shouldn't say if not more so, but at least as interesting as the kaiju action. And I think we've been successful at doing that. There's some scenes that I just can't wait to show people that I
Yeah,
think are going to be really, really
Oh
cool
yeah, yeah,
and they're
absolutely.
going to be excited
Yeah.
about.
yeah. Well, no. I really feel like again, I watched you guys campaign and stuff. And my first thought as somebody coming from the marketing side is just like I think I suggested before, as I said, definitely plan on seeding. Do some guerrilla marketing to plan your seeding like 6 months in advance. Just gradually go into whatever people. If it's a Godzilla group, talk
Right,
about Godzilla. Make sure you show respect. You talk about, but then say, hey, look, by the way, we got this. And
right,
whatever piece of artwork you do, show the best work that you got. Something that's
right,
Yeah.
exciting, an exciting piece of work. Get used to that. Not just pre stuff, just really exciting stuff. It'd be great to see if Ron can do videos, like if him actually drawing images or whatever. That could be
right.
great to use. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can use out there. I'm not a video editor, but boy, I'm having a good time with CapCut. As you can see,
Yeah,
all the videos I'm doing, I'm having a blast. The technology is there now, where that the people that we can do stuff, fun stuff that can get eyes on your stuff, just to be like, okay, let me just question that or whatever, and then I'll take a look at it. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
as I'm so
nice.
fond of
Really
saying,
consistent.
as I'm so fond of saying, the good news is that we're at a point in our culture and where technology is that anyone can put anything out at any time.
Yep.
The bad news is that we're at a point in our society and culture where anyone can put anything out at any time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Right,
like it's yeah. So
But it's
like
kind of good
yes,
because
all of the resources that used to
yeah,
only be open to people with millions of dollars
yeah,
are now available for pennies for us. Like I can
yeah,
advertise to anyone across the world on Facebook for like
yeah.
$100,
Exactly.
and
right.
There
that's
you go.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's the good thing. The bad thing is that now we're just swimming in an ocean of content, and it's less getting noticed and more standing out from everything else.
Yeah, but here's the kicker too,
Which
which is funny because
yeah,
think about how many companies, like say in the '60s, like when the comic books were starting to go through the after the whole cold thing and everything, and they started coming back. Think about all the companies that didn't make it. I mean, the people that were putting out books and stuff that because I remember
and the
there's a
people in the
lot of
40s, yeah.
what was it? Like I'm looking at a Battle of the Planets by Whitman. I don't know if you ever heard of Whitman, but I used to find a
Yeah,
lot of
I
small
have actually.
companies. Yeah, Whitman. Yeah, I got yeah, man. I got a couple of stuff.
Yeah,
So again, it's like, but a lot of these companies, unfortunately, they didn't make it. Charlton, things like that. Where
yes,
so it comes down to like now we're on the playing field where everyone's putting their stuff out. Now it relies on us.
right.
And maybe some of us not gonna make it, depending on whatever the case. That's the fan. I mean, that's depends upon the fan. Now,
For
do they
sure.
like what you're putting out? And if they don't like it, then as a creator, you got to sit there and go the hard truth. Go, okay, maybe they just don't like it. All right,
Right.
well now I got to go off and do
It
something else.
happens. It happens whenever there's a um, new sort of technology or a new sort of process for
Yeah,
anything. Like, we saw it, like, I'm a history nerd. So, like, when the telegraph was invented, or when, like, steel was cheaper, or when, like, drilling for oil was made a lot easier. Like, you would
hmm
have a whole bunch of small people suddenly pop up and start, like,
yeah,
making their fortune. And then eventually what would happen is they were all bought out and consumed
exactly.
by
Right.
the larger stuff. And, like, it's the same with the .com boom.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
to get a
exactly.
little more
Yeah,
modern, it's
yeah,
like, everyone has a website, everyone had, like, a domain name, everything, and,
yep,
like, all that. And, like, there was this big explosion of interesting ideas and creativity, and not everyone made it, and that's okay.
exactly. That's okay.
Like, it
Exactly.
happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
And
like, just because you won't make it doesn't mean it wasn't valuable.
Yeah, that's why I say be passionate. If you're truly, I almost feel like now it's like if you're truly passionate about what you're doing, and people can see that, that energy will go through your work.
right.
And I think that the fans are hungry for that because they feel honestly that if you take some time to look at some of the gripes that people have, they just feel like the books that they're getting lack passion.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm looking at these Shogun Warriors and I see passion on here. I see like, man, it's like, they cared about this and stuff like that. The
Right.
argument that a lot of people are saying is that they're just tired of stuff that lacks the passion. It just looks like it's just people are just getting by. They're just putting stuff out there and saying,
Right.
"There you go. We know you're already there. We know you're gonna buy it. So why should we even care?" Well,
Yeah.
we're saying no. We care about what we're doing. We care about the
Absolutely.
quality of what we're doing. So, and
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be the big thing right there. So when people see it, if you're truly passionate, you're talking about it, you're excited about it. I think people are buying into that as well. They're like, okay, these guys are like they're into it. Yeah, we're excited by it. You know,
Yeah.
and they may
No,
hang
I
around.
know. Well, to your point is when people pick up, I'm going to talk about Sector 7 as if it's already happened. I'm not
All right.
doing that to be arrogant, but
No
I
worries.
am really
Hey,
confident that
it
once we've
happens.
been around and we've been out there, like people, I think are going to really be like, wow, those monsters are really cool looking. I
Sure.
want to see more of that.
Sure.
I want to see more of this story. It sounds really intriguing. Who's the Cyber Ninja guy? But like, I remember when I was younger and I went into a comic shop and I've got comics ready to go to. Like, but I remember picking. I don't know if you can see this one here. The
I think
Oh,
that's the
there we go.
Godzilla. Oh yeah, I
The
got that one.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
When I first saw this, I was so I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I've got to like, I thought it was the coolest thing, and
Mm-hmm.
every issue of that Dark Horse line,
Yep.
just I was so pumped for, and I want people to get excited about that,
Sure.
um, and to be able to say, "Okay, what am I going to see in this issue?" kind of thing,
Yep.
and like I said, I think you guys have done that.
Yep.
I haven't read it yet, but it sounds like such a novel concept and one that I'm certainly into. I get, like I said, I get some '70s vibes from it.
Mm-hmm.
So was that like kind of your era that you were shooting for?
That's me.
Yeah, that's you. Okay,
70s and
That
80s.
that
Yeah.
that's Frankie.
Yeah.
nice,
But that's
nice.
that's one of the
That's
things
it.
the dynamic that I like that I actually not even like. I love that me and Matthew have. Me and Matthew are like we're from two different periods of time. And so the thing is that I don't know if I would be really like kind of comfortable if I was working with somebody who was as who's in the same time like in that same kind of mindset like me because I don't know if it would work. I think that the thing about it is that because Matthew's coming from a different kind of point, he's bringing with the story and stuff like that. Then it forces me when I'm drawing, that even though I'm still bringing some of the aesthetics and enthusiasm from what I remembered from the '70s and '80s, it's forcing me to do a certain way and stuff like that that he's bringing. That's like I think like you were like more '90s, right, Matt?
Well, I mean, that's the era I grew up in. But I like
Yeah,
so whenever this question brings up, I always like to point out that, like, I'm actually not that big of a kaiju fan.
yeah. There you go. And
Um,
I like that. Yeah, there
and
you go.
but that's okay.
Yes,
If anyone
yes, it
asked,
is.
Leo Fender, the man who created Fender guitars,
Yeah,
he never knew how to play the guitar, but he created
yeah,
some of the greatest instruments of all time. And so, but like, I know that Frankie is a huge kaiju fan.
yeah.
I know that's what he likes, and it's like, okay, well, how can I work with that? Like, how can I make something that Frankie's going to really enjoy
Yep.
drawing? Because I know that if he enjoys drawing it, then the passion and love for the genre is going to come through the page.
Oh well.
Absolutely.
Don't you wish more
Absolutely.
people,
So,
like, if they were like, just people were doing it? That's how you're supposed to do it. You should, if you have
yeah,
somebody who's an artist and they like to draw westerns, don't have them drawing sci-fi stuff.
Right.
You know what
we'll
I
have
mean?
him
Like,
drawing
they're like,
sci-fi
hey,
westerns.
yeah. Well, if
Yeah,
they like
how
horses and stuff like that, but if they, because there's certain artists who like, they'll be like, yeah, I want to draw old school stuff and whatever. So for me, I'm just one of those people where I don't mind doing it, but again, I love doing, like, the fact of when he was like, yeah, we're gonna have a robot guy. I was like, yeah. My first thought was Machine Man. I'm a huge fan of Jack Kirby's Machine Man,
gotcha.
and to me, that
Oh,
whole idea.
that's the other thing.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. It's like I love the idea. It's a sentient. Like, I felt that Machine Man when Jack Kirby was doing it was phenomenal, and I've always felt that he's been kind of like underutilized. I don't want to be too harsh, but I always felt like he was a very interesting character. Definitely somebody who's like a artificial being, and going and dealing with that stuff. Especially now while I'm watching the show Foundation. I mean, oh man, it's
Oh
just like,
yeah,
and then
Asimov.
Westworld, too. It's like I just felt like when I look at B-Win and the characters in it, I'm like, man, my mind's always going to that, like, oh, that these characters are really interesting
That's
characters.
the third one I forgot. I had an interview yesterday that was just
Hmm.
me, and I was like, yeah, the influences for the bot with no name. It's Jet Jaguar, Clint Eastwood,
Jet
and there's
Jaguar
someone else I don't
and
remember.
Machine Man. Yeah, it was Machine Man.
Nice.
Machine Man,
You
Yep,
know,
right?
it's funny, the Jet
yep,
Jaguar,
yep.
stuck out to me
The
again,
face.
being area of expertise, and I was
Yep,
just so, pumped about that because, Godzilla versus Megalon was
yep.
actually the first Godzilla movie I had ever seen. I was probably, like, 3 years old, and my oldest brother had a VHS tape of it,
Yep,
and I kinda had this vague idea of what dinosaurs were, and I just
yep.
fell in love. Like, I had the little 1986 Imperial, Chinese Godzilla, the little 6-inch
Nice.
one, and, still have it to this day, and, I just never grew out of it. It
Yeah.
was, always kind of over my mind.
Toho nailed that design, because I know that they were trying to create their own Ultraman kind of character, but the design of his face, like, I love the fact that they kept it in the same family as Mechagodzilla, and but they just created that weird smiley, like, he just looks like he's smiling, but then he has
Right.
these eyes. He has these eyes that light up, and he just looks scary. He just looks
Yeah.
really terrifying. And and when I thought about Bwin, and that's here, I'll show it. Oh boy, this is the dope Pope figure.
That's
And dope.
awesome.
Let me see if we can get a good picture of it. But
Still
it's a
available
big,
on our Kickstarter.
still available. This character's with the
1 week
base, by
left.
the way. 1 week left.
That looks
But
awesome.
so my thing was that I just saw this character, and I just said, man, he's gonna have a duster, the dreadlocks, of course. But in my mind, and when I saw the classic sort of like you know cowboy and stuff like that, it's in the shadows, hair sort of being blown gently in the wind, and you just this face, like, you just see this creepy, like, his eyes would be like this weird green, and you also see the green coming through the mouth, and it would just look creepy as just the most terrifying thing.
That's
And the
awesome.
image just came to me, and I was like, there you go, that's
I,
B-Win.
w- I want
I
to point
love that.
out that when we were discussing, like when we
Mm.
were in the initial stages of figuring out what we were going to do with this, the only design note that I gave Frankie was have him wear a duster made out of kaiju skin, and that's it. Everything else is him.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah,
It's funny because I actually have a full length leather duster. That's one of
Nice. Oh
my
of
man.
course.
proudest, my favorite one of my favorite possessions in this world is a full length leather
Nice.
duster that I've worn. That thing is like armor, especially in Western New York winters. Ain't
Oh.
no
Oh
holes
yeah.
getting through that.
My
It's
dream, I'm
amazing.
putting it out there. I want to see somebody try to do a cosplay of B-Wing. There's so many gifted, talented cosplayers out there. I just dream of seeing that face and just like
Yeah.
that massive like his hat. And that's another thing. Like I love anime and manga. I'm a huge fan of it. I went to a lot of anime clubs back in the 80s, and the fact of his long hat is just a product of that. Like I wanted to make sure that there was always these little nods to the stuff that I really enjoyed and stuff like that. Even like his movements and everything like that. I wanted it just to be excited action. And I'm telling you, Matthew has written it. He has written insane action in his book,
That's
which
Mm-hmm.
is great.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great, you know.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm so pumped to see this.
you're gonna love issue 3. Again, when we were creating this, another show that really stuck with us was Tartakovsky's Primal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Just like the ability to tell a story with as few words as possible, and just
yeah.
like the animation and the action was just the storytelling through action was just so beautiful. I was like, I want that. I want to do that.
See, this is
And
what I love.
so
This is what I love about me and Matthew. I'm sorry, Matthew. I didn't mean to cut you off
that's all
there,
good.
but the thing about it is that that's what I love, because if I was to try to write it, I would be wordy. I feel like I'm more like Jack Kirby. Like when I draw, I feel like I got to put more words and stuff in there, whatever sounds. Like I always feel like, and so I love the way that Matt writes, because he's bringing a totally different kind of. So it forces me to kind of learn and stuff like that, because I'm learning from some seeing the stuff that he's writing. I'm just learning from it and stuff like that. So that's what you want. You want that kind of synergy. You
Right.
want a synergy where it comes where you have these kind of different kind of styles and approaches, so that you just start creating magic. And then
Oh,
and then
absolutely,
go.
yeah, yeah.
No, I
Like
think you guys are doing that.
the big thing that I learned not too long ago. I was actually taking some classes with Brian Michael Bendis, and he
Okay.
said the best advice he ever gave to me that has stuck with me to this day was, if you don't if you can cut it, cut it.
Hmm.
If you don't need it in your script, leave it out. And so it's like, okay, let's see how bare bones and minimal we can make this. And so we were I was watching Primal, and I was like, okay, let's tell a story with maybe a couple sentences of to just describe what's going on, and
Yeah.
tell the audience what's happening. But it's just one long action scene. And yes, we do have some dialogue. Yes, we have the
Yeah.
characters delivering exposition, trying to figure out what's going on. But the book is at its absolute best when it's just the action on the page. And it really comes forward in issue 3. Really comes forward in issue 4. Issue 5's pretty dialogue heavy, but that's setting things up, moving things around. Issue 6, I've seen the
Yeah.
artwork for this. It's amazing. It's the payoff.
And
It's
then
the payoff to the whole thing.
but then
And
also,
um, yeah,
well,
just
I was
so
gonna
excited.
say, well, I was gonna say that the thing about it is also we're taking a huge gamble, because what me and Matt are doing is we're doing something that hasn't been done in what now, 20 years, maybe 20
A
years,
while.
back in the 80s and the 70s, because we're literally doing long form storytelling, because we're in a time and age where everybody wants to do
Well, that
short
would be the
form. They
50s.
just
If it's the 80s,
that
that would be
that'd be
50
40.
years.
50 years. So then it's like, you see a lot of people and they're like, well, I want to do a
40,
4 issue
50.
limited series,
Yeah.
or even a 6 issue series, or like a little trade or something. But the thing is that we're saying we're going back to how Secret Wars, for instance, when Marvel did Secret Wars, that was a 12 issue maxi series. And so it was a long form of storytelling where it was like, okay, you gotta get this issue, and then it's a continuation of that, and then it builds up and builds and builds. So that's something that we haven't seen for a very long time, and we're attempting to do that. You know, that's the roll of the dice. That's what the thing where we're hoping to make comics addicted again. Like when you read comic books, it was almost like a soap opera. You had to go back again to get it again to find out more and more about it. So
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I like I said, I really dig what you guys are doing. I think it's going to be awesome, and I
Yep.
can't wait to see it for myself. Of course, I'm gonna definitely support you guys here on out. I feel a strong drive to support my fellow kaiju creators.
There
So
you go. I mean,
um,
you.
you
I
know,
almost feel like we're in the same. We're neck and neck with Territory with Blake.
sure,
Like Blake's
sure,
hanging in there. I don't know if you've seen Territory, but they're on issue 4, and I think they got a campaign going on as well. So
nice,
we've done 4 books technically. We've done the 0 issue, and then we got 1, 2, and 3. So we're still like we're neck and neck. We want to see more people. We want to see more indie people coming up. I think there was Stomp. I don't know if they're going to be doing any more books and stuff, but we want to see more people come into the arena, and so that we have a diverse kind of look of like how books are, because
right.
I think
Kaijus are
that's
not just
important.
nukes.
Well, yeah, and also it should the look of it should look different. It's like
Yeah.
Right.
if we're doing stuff that looks like this, then somebody else should be doing something that looks like I don't know, almost Brian Hitchish or like whatever something what I mean. But it's just everything should be there should be enough options. That's my whole thing.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be all just the same kind of cookie cutter kind of thing.
I think one of the things that happens, and I actually think that a lot of mainstream, whether it's comic book movies or Godzilla films or whatever,
Hmm.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is
Hmm.
one that I think is guilty of this a lot. Is like I feel like they get to this point where like they feel like they got to reinvent the wheel. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we've told all the stories there is to be told with these characters. I'm like, no, you haven't. You haven't
Yeah.
exhausted everything you could do with those characters, and they make it something like radically different, which inevitably alienates a part of the folks.
Well.
But like,
Hmm.
I feel like there's so many stories that can be told within a genre without necessarily having to like turn it on its head either.
Well.
I mean,
Sort of to your
yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean, and I think Hollywood is starting to sort of learn that a little bit because, like, I mean, like the recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that was pretty good.
Right,
Yeah, I
Um,
got to
right.
see that. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's good. You should watch it. The Spider-Verse movies are
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
Sure.
Cannot speak highly enough about those. And I mean, yeah, the MCU does have like it's like homogenized, like same aesthetic, same tempo, same setup. But like you look at what's going on with like DC, they're like hey let's try something different. Let's try like a Harley
Well.
Quinn movie. Let's try a Suicide Squad movie. Let's do that. So
Well.
like
Yeah.
they got some good stuff.
Well, the
Absolutely.
thing. The thing is that the major issue that I have with it, where I can see people's complaints where they compare manga to America. My major problem is why can't we ever see, um, why can't the risks be very high? Like why can't we see characters get killed off? Like kill characters off and then tell a different story with another character. Like one of the reasons why
Oh
again
yeah.
I feel like Batman's been overused. Like I'm to a point where I'm almost tired of Batman. Like Godzilla,
Right.
I think Toho's running into the same problem where I sat there and I watched that new Godzilla trailer, Godzilla -1, and I sat there and I said, yeah, I'm rooting for it, but then I was like, wow, that would have been really cool if that was Dimagian. Like what if it was something another character like Varan?
Sure.
Like why is it Godzilla? It's like they're overusing one character so much that eventually I think you're gonna almost kill this. You're gonna destroy the character.
I think actually
That's me.
Godzilla's experienced that a few times
Yeah,
because his popularity's waned, and
yeah.
and then he goes off into the ocean for a decade, and
Why can't we
then
see a risk factor? Why can't we just see a story end? Like why can't we just have a character like make it major? Like why can't Wolverine die? Like why can't you just kill him and then have that character like X-23? Why couldn't Shield
right,
become? Why couldn't we told that story? Like have him like literally kill that character off and then say, okay, we're going to devote our energies to developing this new character X-23. Why can't the risk be that high? Because that's what manga and anime do. They kill
right.
off characters. They'll be like, boom, that character's dead. That character's gone. There's a
I
Sure.
place
think they
for
did
that,
for a
and I
while. I think
love
they
that.
did kill Wolverine
Yeah,
for
but you said
like,
that a
yeah,
while.
yeah.
Like even like that
Right.
whole thing. Like I don't read a lot of the books, but I watch a lot of shows. Like there's a guy called Comics Explained, and he was telling a story about how the X-Men got a island. Was it
Krakoa, yeah, the Krakoan
Krakoa, where
age.
they come back to life. I'm like, dude. As soon as he said that, I was like, yep, that's why I don't get the books because what there's no risk. There's no like,
Right.
I need to have something where there's a risk. I want to be rooting for the characters, but then also I'm gonna be like, well, is there gonna be a payoff? I don't want a character who
Right.
dies and then they're gonna come back. They're gonna dust them off and then they bring them back and stuff. Well,
That
what's the point
was
of that?
to your point. One of the most impactful comics for me in my childhood was the Death of Superman. Like
Yeah,
that was the first graphic novel I ever owned. Was the compiled
yeah,
version of that, and it was to me as a young person. Like I loved Superman. Like
yeah,
Superman was like the one of my first heroes I remember really being into. I remember the old Superboy television
yeah,
show and
yeah,
stuff like that. So it really meant a lot to me. And then you dilute it by, of course, adding to it. Like you said, why can't a story just end? And I think we have
yeah,
a real difficult time with that in this country because
yep,
everything's got to become a franchise, and some stuff translates very well to a franchise, but some things are such a work of art. I don't think you can add to it without taking away from it, and
Well, we all know
that's
the
when I
reason
get trouble.
why superheroes
well,
won't
yeah,
die. It's because Disney and Warner Brothers have copyrights they have to keep renewing, or else it'll
Yeah,
slip back into the public domain, and they can't
yeah.
have that. But I mean, like, if
and
you
there's money.
want stories with stakes, huh?
Oh,
Then
I
go to
said, and
indie.
it's money. Like as
Yeah,
long as there's a
yeah.
dollar to be had from it, they're gonna do it.
That's why I appreciate the fact of like someone like Robert Kirkman's Invincible, where there was
Yeah,
stakes. Like he's funny. He's like, yeah, I'm taking care, and that's why I think that's where the indie comic market comes in, where it's like we can't be afraid to be like, let's get rid of this character, because I feel like if
Right.
you're creative enough to create that whatever your story is, then you should be creative enough to sort of build off of it. You could always build like there could be a supporting character that you can be like that character's kind of interesting. I'm gonna pull that character up front because now we got rid of this character. Let's see who else can take that place. Like
Absolutely.
I never want to get into a place where I'm like I'm afraid to get rid of a character. No, they, how creative. To me, I would then question how creative am I? Am I afraid to not be able to go down that pathway of creating new characters?
Right. That's really interesting. It's an interesting point. I think it's hard to let go, especially if you've got characters that are making money and are successful and things like that. I think it is brave on some level to say, okay, I'm going to kill this character. I know some uh, recent franchises were kind of famous for doing that,
Yeah.
like Game of Thrones and
Yeah,
such.
and I'm not saying to kill them just to kill them either. I mean, I'm
Right.
clearly saying from a point where if it's part of your story, wherever your story's
Sure.
going, then definitely that should be something where you say, okay, we have in this story that in issue 300, you know, then that character will go. Then sure, you've gone through 300, then that character should be able to go off to a fair pasture. But then while you're doing that, maybe you should be building up on another character that
Right.
that possibly take the place. You know.
Absolutely. And that so no, that's all really interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah.
So why don't we if
Yeah.
I see Matt
Yeah,
dropped
he
off.
keeps bouncing off. Yeah, his internet's always kind of spotty, but
That's okay.
it'll work our way. All right, so the
I
campaign.
Yeah, I just want to kind of show off your actually I'm on the wrong window here. Where am I? Let's see. So I'm gonna bring up the campaign
All
page
right,
here
excellent.
on the other one. Bear with me just a moment while I do
Sure,
that.
not a
I'm a little
problem.
slow some days. There we go. I think we're good. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
All right. So I'm
Ah,
going to
there you
just
go.
start at the top here. So we have Kaijus and Cowboys number 3. It's a
Yes.
desperate race to safety as the hunter comes across a monster even he can't handle. You
Yep.
guys are very close. Got about a week to
Very
go.
close. Oh
I don't think you
man.
guys are going to have trouble. I
Well,
think the
it's funny. I keep hearing people say that, but then again, I'll tell the story very short. I was commissioned. Now that means I was paid commission to do some artwork, a pinup for a King Kong. It was going to be a King Kong sort of pinup book kind of thing, Kickstarter. And it was maybe 2 years. I feel like it was 2 years ago, maybe. And what happened was, they on the night I remember going to bed, looking at the campaign, going, "Wow, they did it!" Like I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna see my artwork in this book and all this stuff," and I was all excited. I woke up the next morning, getting a notification from Kickstarter saying that the campaign had not made its funding.
Mm.
Why? Because somebody pulled out at the 12th, at literally at the moment, pulled out, and it killed that
Yep,
campaign. So that
absolutely.
meant so that meant that all those people, all those backers, couldn't get anything now.
Right.
So there's that pragmatic part of me where I can't celebrate you yet, because I
Absolutely.
because
I
I just don't
totally
know.
get it.
Like ideally, we need to be over the 3,000.
Sure.
We need to be over. So that's why we can't take our foot off the pedal. We got to
Yep.
keep going.
I
Got to hustle
completely
hard.
agree. I completely agree. And one, I just want to say, I want to take a look at this. Can we play this real quick?
Sure, of course. Oh man.
Wow. You guys have really gone all out with this. This is amazing.
Well, this is all about building relationships. Yep. Wow.
Wow.
Well,
Very cool.
I'll tell you about that. That was something done by an incredibly talented, oh my god, talented animator artist by the name of Daniel Mead. I've known Daniel over years. I originally did a comic book, well, a graphic novel called Robot God Akamatsu with James Biggie, back in 2012 and 2013. And Daniel was somebody who loved Robot God Akamatsu so much that he was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna do this a video," and I was like, all right. I was like, I was like, we can't pay you or anything, but if whatever to move, but please don't put yourself out. I'm a very honest person. I was very straightforward. So he said, oh, no worries. He ends up doing this amazing video, which you can see on his page on YouTube, and it was incredible. It was just unbelievable. Like he did Robot God Akamatsu. He asked me, could he just get some turnarounds? So I said the turnarounds of the character, and he just blew me out the water with it. So then, you know, that Robot God Akamatsu didn't do so good afterwards. Things fell apart. Learned a lot of lessons from that whole experience, but then he comes back later as we're doing Kaijus and Cowboys. It's Frank. I've been watching Kaijus and Cowboys, and I would love to do a video. So I said, are you serious, Daniel? He said, yeah. So he went ahead. I did some drawings and stuff, sent it off to him, and he did that. And that's why
Very
I always
cool.
say, my teacher always told me, he said, Frank, you want to build relationships in the art industry. First,
Right.
you want to be you be very genuine, and you want to be upfront with people, and you want to try to build as many relationships outside, like in the whole art industry. So it's not just in comic books. You want to be able to know different people in different aspects because you never know what happens. You never know, out of the blue, somebody comes along and says, hey, look, I'm going to do a promo video for you that's all, computer generated.
That's awesome.
And so he did that, and we're very grateful for that. And he actually ended up doing a variant cover as well. So,
Really cool stuff. And that welcome back, Matt. We'll try and
yep.
nail you to the floor so you don't go flying out.
So yeah, so there you go. You got the pages and stuff, and actually the way that the pages are done, that's digital. Now I'm a traditional artist, so I draw traditionally, and then I scan the artwork in. But that background right there is I wanted it to look like newsprint. So, through the power of technology, they have different backgrounds to give that nice kind of newsprinty look.
I love it. I love
I
the
look,
look.
hey,
It definitely has a vintage look to it, which is just awesome. Um,
the
just
quality
the
of the
way.
product is a huge thing, especially somebody like I came from advertising, so I understand the
And
power
hey,
of
guys,
optics.
yeah, we're entering the stage where my poor little
Yeah,
we're
he's
entering the
starting to
stage where
break
my
out.
poor little laptop is like, I don't want to do
Yeah.
this anymore. So
Gotcha.
Okay. No problem, Matt.
Well, we appreciate you either way.
Yeah, Matt. We got to hang
If
out for a
you've
little
got
bit.
a Yeah, absolutely. If you've got a jet, I completely understand, and I just want to thank you for hanging out with us. This has been a blast. And
And
that
that's it.
so yeah, that looks like his laptop gave up there. So um, yeah, just
We're working hard so one day he can have an amazing computer and stuff. That's our plan. So,
absolutely,
but anyway, yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, again, to me, optics is so important in making sure that it looks good. That is something that people can enjoy. I do my own sound effects. We do have a Mike Stock, who is actually doing our lettering. But I'm old school, man. I hand draw those sound effects.
Right, right. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Really, that looks so good, and very old school looking. I love that. Um, just got a great look. Um, yeah, like it's just got a charm to it that
Nice, nice.
brings me right back to vintage comic books.
That's
And
totally what I wanted. That is what I wanted because again, I'm a huge fan of Herb Trimpe. I got to meet Herb Trimpe a few times before he passed away. I got to tell him that he was like I called him Dad. I told him how much how the Shogun Boys impacted me, and this is my dream. I've always wanted to do a series that definitely showed what I grew up with. That the magic of that. And my style is I love this kind of style and stuff, and I think that there are people out there who like it as well, and hopefully young folks. Ideally, that would be the dream. My dream is that a young person that sees this and they go, "Wow, this is interesting style, a cool style," and then they try to emulate it, and then eventually they find their own voice, and then perhaps they can keep the legacy going.
everything comes full circle.
Exactly, exactly.
Vinyl is coming back.
Yep,
So
exactly.
that's
Good.
so let's we'll talk about just for a moment. I want
Sure,
to let them know about the campaign levels.
sure.
Looks like you can get a digital copy for $5. That's
Yep,
a fantastic deal.
yep.
I mean, absolutely, that's like old school going into your comic book store nowadays. They for $5, and then you get a physical copy for
Yep,
$10 plus shipping,
exactly. Yep.
and that so $10 plus shipping, and that estimates to ship in a couple of months here. For $25, you get all three issues so
Yes.
far, which is
And we've
incredible.
been working hard on trying to get our fulfillment in a 3 month period.
Yeah,
We're
that's
priding
huge.
ourselves on it. We're trying to like as soon as the campaign's over, then we turn into fulfillment stage, and then we
Right.
just try to focus on making sure we get everything out. And again, because we as you scroll down, you'll see commissions and things like that. So I got to work on commissions. I got to send stuff to Matt, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And
Sure.
and
And
mind you, I want people to understand. Matt's the one who deals with a lot of it. He deals with the distribution. So and he's good at it. He's really really good.
awesome. The Yeehaw bundle gets
Yep.
1, 2, and 3 and a blank cover variant.
Yes, and I have
So
this right here, so you can see. This is the
awesome.
blank cover variant. This is for the folks out there where we want to see if you want to draw something. If you happen to, you got some a little bit of artistic skills. If you want to draw the characters that are from Kaijus and Cowboys, or even just other famous kaijus or whatever rocks your boat. But we would love to just see it because if you post it and tag us in it, we will do a shout out. Definitely. So we want to see people drawing some artwork on our variant covers, blank variant covers. Pretty cool.
Awesome. Awesome. So, and then a couple more here. Kaiju Rancher. You get
Yep.
all three physical issues with autographed. So,
Autographed,
what
yes.
awesome.
That's for the hardcore collector out there who wants to get the creators signing. And then here's a little thing. Usually I don't say it, tell people, but I'll possibly toss in a little remark in there for you to make it a little more special.
Awesome. Awesome. So, and then the Roundup bundle, again, all three. Um, issues and an additional issue of number 3 with the Daniel Meade CGI
Yes.
variant cover.
Yep.
Very cool. Physical copy of issue number 3, a print
Yep.
custom sketch card commission for 75.
Okay, and this is what the sketch cards look like.
Let's go ahead and I'll zoom you in here.
This is a blank sketch card right here.
So that's cool. That's almost like your own personal trading card.
Yes, exactly.
That's very cool. Love it.
All right.
Love
so
it.
There you
And
go.
then we got I think this, 2 more levels here. We got Kaiju Bounty Hunter.
Yep.
At 150, you get the physical copy of issue 3, a print, and a cover commission. Now, is
That's
that
for
on
me.
the blank cover?
That would be me drawing on the blank cover. These went. I was shocked. We tried those on the April campaign, and I had a ton to draw. I drew people's own characters. I drew a Hellboy robot. so I got to draw, and I drew some characters too. Doc, I drew the character Doc from the comic. So I got to draw characters from the book, which was wonderful. But then also I draw whoever people want. But it's only one-sided though.
Nice. Nice.
Right.
Very cool. Very cool. And then, oh, no, we got a couple here. We got Robo
Yep.
Giant. Gets the Dope Pope figure. That is
This is
tempting.
the big one.
Yeah.
This is the big
that's
one.
Awesome.
And this is the one. It's really good weight on it. It's 8 inches tall. It has a base, so the base has the name Kaijus and Cowboys on it. You also will get the title card art, which I'll sign them all.
Absolutely.
So that's one side, and you flip it over. Here's the other side with a little schematic on the back.
Very cool. You know, it's funny. Titanic Creations is a kaiju company that has really had some success starting off with the figures because people love
Dope
stuff.
Pope did those.
Right, I know. He's
Yeah,
amazing.
Dope Pope did it, and he also did this other one too. I mean, he's getting all over the place. But this
Right.
one, I honestly feel like this is his first like humanoid robot. And I don't know,
Right.
don't quote me on it, but I feel like this is his first like. I haven't seen him do something like this.
I want to say, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to bet he probably did like a Jet Jaguar or something back
Did he
in
do
the
a Jet
day. Like,
Jaguar?
he might
Wow.
have. I'm not
I have
positive.
to, I have to ask him.
I've been following him a long
Yeah.
time. I remember. I mean, I've been part of this fandom for a very, very long time.
Awesome.
I know you have as well.
Yep.
And it's just so cool to see guys that I start up with. In fact, we're going to be relaunching. I reacquired a website that I don't know if you've ever heard of Screonk.com, but
Yes.
John Bumpus runs that website.
Okay.
Him and I did a website almost 20. Well, actually, it was 20 years ago called
Mhm.
Kaijutopia. I recently reacquired that domain name,
Nice.
and I'm kind of re-envisioning it as a hub because there's so many websites out there now. We have our friend Jacob out there with Kaiju United. We have
Gotcha,
Dan and Frank with Mazer Squad. that
Laser
have been
Squad.
really
Yep.
supportive.
There you go. Yep.
You know, there's Screonk.com. There's
Yep.
Sci-Fi Japan. There's so many websites out there.
UK
doing kaiju.
UK Kaiju guys. Yep.
Right. And I just thought about it. I'm like, you know what I really want? I want a place for people who want to learn about new projects, who are interested in
Yes.
the little
Yes.
guy. So bear with me. I need to
No problem.
get
That's a great idea,
things in
man.
order. But
Yep.
we're gonna have Kaijutopia as the hub for the indie guys like you and
Awesome.
me and all of
Awesome.
our other friends out there. Just off the top of my head, I know Paul, Robert Livingston
Oh yeah.
with Kaiju
Yeah.
Days,
Yep.
Paul with Fall of Man, which is
Yep.
superheroes versus
Yep,
giant
that's right.
monsters. So there's so many guys doing amazing things. I want this place to be the news for all that new stuff.
That sounds
there's gonna
great.
be an announcement coming up.
That
real
sounds
soon about
amazing.
that.
Right on. Right on.
Well,
That sounds amazing.
So
But
let's
yeah.
go ahead and go with the last one here, the Titan.
These are
will
for the daring.
get-
Yeah. If you get a lot
yeah,
of
the
stuff.
Dope figure. You get physical copies of all 3.
Yeah.
You get the sketch card, the title card, personalized handwritten thank you. What a cool package that is.
There's actually still more because once you scroll on that side where you're scrolling now, you're gonna see
Yeah.
that we're also offering for everyone. Now, mind you, this is the stuff that once we get past the 3,000, we R.R. Parks, who did the Ultraman card set, he's helping us out where we're gonna be able to put in like a sheet like 4 card uncut Ultraman cards. So that we're gonna be putting those into everyone's package. Yeah. We're
Wow.
gonna have we got a print that once we get past the 3,000, we're gonna be doing a mini print of the Daniel Meade variant cover, and it's all digitally signed by him. So yeah, so there's other stuff that people are gonna be able to get.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
This
there
is
you
going to
go.
be
There's a print
amazing.
that we have there. That's some samples of the card art that I did for the April.
Yes. I see, looks like Ultraman there in
Ultraman.
the
Yep.
Western outfit.
Yep.
I love the dreadlocks on
Yeah,
this
I
guy.
think a
That's
lot of people
just
are liking it. Like a lot of people are liking it, and and everything about him is, he uses everything. Like again, the dreadlocks actually, if I was to see, sort of like what Daniel did, where they actually are moving like Medusa.
nice.
So they're moving. So he plugs into stuff so he can input. There you go. That's the freebie right there.
Wow.
So
Really
those are
cool.
actual Ultraman uncut cards though. But we're gonna
Wow.
put those in with the packages for people.
Really, really cool, guys.
And then that's
Oh,
the
and there's
Daniel
the
Meade
variant
cover.
cover.
Yep.
Wow, that looks so good.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, just looks so good. Awesome, awesome job.
And then this is gonna be the print, the mini print that everyone will get.
Very cool.
And then Thomas Perkins, another one. Thomas Perkins did a pinup, and that's going to be appearing in the issue 3. Now, mind you, everything that you're seeing on this campaign is only exclusive on that campaign because we're going to be going on print on demand probably mid-November. That's the plan we're looking at. And so
Sure.
once we go print on demand, none of this stuff. It's going to be bare minimum. It's going the issues will be on there, but they're not going to have the Thomas Perkins, pin up in it because we want the people who go on our campaigns. This is for exclusive stuff.
Sure.
You see what I mean? This is all exclusive. That means you're backing this. You should be getting exclusive collectible stuff. Once we go
Yeah,
print on demand, then that's just going to be regular stuff.
absolutely. I love it. Um, Frankie, it's been wonderful sitting down and chatting with
Oh
you,
man,
buddy.
this has been
I
fantastic. Oh,
absolutely. I've really enjoyed it. I look forward to just I've said to many people like, yeah, it's about promotion and cross
mm-hmm.
promotion and of
Yep,
course I want the best for all of us, right?
yep.
But it's about relationships too, and
There
it's
you
about
go. That's it.
forming friendships and just having a community of people to be a
I
part of.
love the fact of this idea that you're saying where it's these kaiju books because I try to I'm like I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody else who's not doing stuff that's in the field, but this is our time, man. I mean, how many times
Right.
did we ever see kaiju comic books out?
Right.
You only saw them sporadically, but we've seen tons of superhero stuff, we've seen tons of fantasy stuff, we've seen tons of horror stuff.
Sure.
And they don't need help. They got their own massive groups and people really, so they really don't need help. But we're a small little circle.
We're a niche. We're a
We're a
niche.
niche. We're a niche. And
we're on
so
the fringe. We need
so
help.
so
So
with that said, I'm gonna show my love for the folks who are doing stuff that I love. And so, that's just it.
you guys are gonna be some of the first. There's gonna be an initial circle. Like I said, this is a rather new idea.
Awesome.
Um, I've been kind of just I reacquired the domain. A squatter had a number of years ago, back in like 2007, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. I lost the domain.
Yep.
I was in a rough patch in my life. We all go through those.
Sure.
And this year I really said, you know what, I'm going to try and repurchase that. So I got a
Yep.
broker and they negotiated for my old domain that I created,
Yeah.
which was Kaijutopia. And
Nice.
I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Cause like I said, we've got all these amazing friends out there doing just Kaiju news. And it's almost like, I don't want to compete with them. And at the same time, like, so what do we do? How do we fill a niche for folks? How do we make it a destination that people want to go to?
Here's a little seed I'm gonna plant. I'm gonna shoot you over. When the time comes when you plan on doing Sector 7 again, I would
Yes,
suggest a good suggestion is that, like, one of the things I've learned from seeing Alterna Comics, what Pete does on Alterna Comics and stuff, is that he gets various artists to do. He works out a deal, but he works out a way in which various artists can do sketch cards You
Sure.
guys should probably consider that.
Absolutely.
So
We're
people
we're
like me,
open
I'll
to
raise my
working
hand.
with
Like if you want to get other artists in there, say, hey, look, I'll do sketch cards. You work out a way in which we're taken care of, the campaign's taken
Sure.
care of, and because then it opens up the chances for other people to get kind of artwork and things like that. It's
Right.
just a suggestion, Just
No, I completely
so
agree, and we're gonna be looking at that. We are gonna be launching next time on Kickstarter.
yep,
We're gonna spend a little time building the audience with signups and things
good,
of that nature.
good.
So we're not gonna rush it. Right
There you
now,
go, good.
Ron's gotten a lot of commission work
Yep,
through our mistakes, which is awesome
yeah,
because the more one, it took care of him and his family.
sure,
Two, it's getting the more I'm seen in the kaiju world, the
yep,
more he's seen in the comic world,
yep.
the better we're gonna be able to bring people
How many
together for
pages
this.
was
But,
Sector 7, by the way? Was it going to
we're,
be a graphic novel or was it going to
it
be
was gonna
poetry?
be we were doing excuse me, there's going to be there's going to be 4 issues, but they were
Okay.
40-page books
Whew.
and then one double-length book, which was
Wow.
the last one. So it's going to be about 200 pages altogether.
How many you got done? How many like done?
Oh, he's got we've gotten through the first issue.
Okay.
He's got pretty much the first issue all set to go. We're just like I said, this is something we've been working on, and now he's been doing like commissions and stuff like
Okay. All
that.
right.
So
Good. Good.
we're working on that. We've also got another project we think is going to hit more of a mainstream audience.
Okay.
Not that we're not passionate about this one, or
Sure.
we're spreading ourselves too thin, but we've got another superhero. Well, I don't want to call him a superhero because he's
Yeah.
really not a hero, but
Sure.
we got a more kind of something in the vein of 90s like Image Comics
Gotcha.
book coming out.
Okay.
And then I actually just got an offer from another artist that I'm just blessed to know some amazing artists
Nice.
locally who actually did some promo art for us for Sector 7. He did
Okay.
the I Want You image
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
of
Yep.
Nagara, and
Yep.
it's really well done, and he was interested in putting out a book as well. So
Nice.
lots of things in the
I
pipeline,
like
but
that. I like to hear that. Because I was
absolutely,
worried
but
about that when I saw that. I said, "Oh man, I hope they don't give up, man." That was the thing that hit me.
no,
I was like, "Man," I was like, I feel like you have something.
we
See, that's the
do.
thing. That's how we felt. Like when we looked at Kai, we kept saying it over and I even tell Matthew, I was like, Matthew, I feel like we have something. And see, that in itself should spur you on. And so
Yes,
when you told me that you guys were like, yeah, we're not giving up, I was like, good. Don't give up on it. You know,
absolutely.
we need
I
think.
think we made a lot of mistakes and we
Yep,
learned a lot along the
yep,
way, and
yep.
we're just going to keep pushing forward.
That's it,
And
man.
like I
That's it.
said, I think it'll happen. So
Awesome, man. I'm
um,
excited. I'm excited. This is a good
I'm
time for all
excited
of
too.
us. Fantastic.
Absolutely. And hopefully, the stars align in the next couple of months here when we'll you and a select few others will be among the first batch that I really
Oh
want to
man,
report on Kaijutopia. Like I said,
nice.
this idea of like, hey, let's make this a hub for indie
I think
folks.
that's
Like,
great.
I
I
think
think
it's an
that's great.
awesome idea.
I think it's wonderful. Like I've always believed strength in numbers. I think one of the reasons why indie comics have always kind of they've hurt themselves is because people try to they I don't know they don't really want to work
Right.
together, and that's the thing. And so I'm like strength in numbers, man, because you never
Absolutely.
know. Everyone has their different strengths and stuff like that, and weaknesses as well. And you kind of just bounce ideas off and do things whatever. You never know. You may be able to reach a larger audience. Then
Yep.
everybody gets a piece of the pie.
Exactly.
That's all I'm about.
Exactly.
I'm like everyone. I want everyone. That's how I want everyone to get a piece of the pie. I think it's big enough for everyone. You know.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
And
with that,
never
yeah,
on that note,
yeah.
it has been an absolute pleasure, sir. I
It's been
hope we can do this
fantastic.
again sometime.
Oh, we
And
will. We will definitely.
awesome. Awesome.
Oh,
Well, you have a wonderful evening, and
all right.
thanks once again for joining us. Please, if you're out there, the link should be in the description. If
Yes.
not, when I load it up to YouTube, it'll be in the description there. Go support Kaijus and Cowboys, issue
Yes.
3. There's 6 days left. Frankie B, thank you for joining me, and you have
Matt,
a
it's a
wonderful night.
pleasure. Take care. Keep that art flowing. Right on.
Absolutely.
Take
Have a
care.
good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.